Well, this large edifice is the Lockwood-Mathews mansion in Norwalk, Connecticut. This is where we did the last great scene in the House of Dark Shadows, you know, where the marriage ceremony. It all took place in a huge, marvelous rotunda. We were just about to be invaded by a car. Well, this is the Lockwood-Mathews mansion in Norwalk, Connecticut. This is where we did the final scene, the big scene at the end of the House of Dark Shadows, the marriage ceremony and all that, and the great rotunda in the middle of the house with the staircase. I'm a little lost here as to where it was. It's in there somewhere. I think we'll go round to the side eventually and show you from there where that was. But anyway, right here is where we used to come up we were here for about a week, and this was the entrance. And I remember we used to have mobs of fans outside here, so we'd have to they had a cordoned off kind of walkway from about here right into that door. No, we went in there. In that door there's a cellar stairways to the basement where we did the scene where Willie finds me and opens the coffin. We did some scenes out of sequence at this house. We did the last scene and one of the first scenes in this house. And we did other little scenes in this house. And I remember there was one time I was opening a door and I had a lace cuff and I was in costume. And I remember we spent half a morning on opening doors, and the door handles in this house were so interesting. That's why we saved those particular shots. I was probably going into a room that was shot over at Lyndhurst, which is 100 miles from here, up on the Hudson. By the way, it's interesting that we filmed in this building, and in the Lyndhurst, there's a connection. At Lyndhurst up in the Hudson, that was owned by Jay Gould, one of the great railroad magnates of the end of the last century. This Lockwood-Mathews was his arch rival. He also was a railroad magnate at that time. So these two guys, and they really were, I mean, like at war with one another, like chieftains used to be. And it's just a coincidence that Dan Curtis chose, or had these two houses chosen as major settings for the House of Dark Shadows. But anyway, I have 2 or 3 kind of fun stories about this house, but I think that's all we can say about this side of the house right now. This is where we came and went every day. We were up here for about a week shooting, and as I say, there were a lot of other little scenes that related to, presumably, were in the Lyndhurst house, but it was more convenient to shoot them here. You all know what movies are like. They're all shot out of sequence and put together with a great deal of editing. So I think we'll probably go on over to the other side and I'll tell you a story, a very funny story. Okay? I forgot to come up and say hello. You're not taking... I think that large sort of hall is right in there, deep into the center of the house. It's that scene where we did the wedding. Now, the amusing part of that was we had, I think 400 or 500 fans out running around all over the place, largely collecting around the doors. We came and went every day. But we were all inside that day. We'd been inside all that day, and there was an awful lot of activity, needless to say, to create that scene. And somehow or other, things got a little out of control, and the kids prowled around looking in windows to see if they could see what was going on, and they somehow, a group of them got inside the house. If you remember that scene, there were branches all over. It was all over an overgrown house. There was all kinds of things to hide in. And indeed, they all got in. But we were late. It was late in the day. We were all through with shooting, and our time was up. So we didn't have time to clear the house, so we simply said, all right, kids. At least this is Curtis did this. All right, kids, you're in here. We can't get you out, obviously, and we haven't got time. Just shut up. Don't make a noise. And literally, I could smell them all around. They were all over the place. And, but they were, of course, needless to say, they didn't want to be kicked out, so they were as silent as mice. And they just, like the mice, they were hidden in the corners all over the place. So I don't know if anybody that will ever see me tell this story will have been one of the people that was hiding in here, but there were quite a few. And we did the scene, and half of fandom was in among the leaves and the branches of the trees. But it was all in there somewhere. I can't remember there ever being windows in that great hall. The rooms all the way around. It's really right in the center of the house. Now we'll come around here, and I'll tell you another story over here. That balcony up there was occasion for a very funny incident. That happened to be, those two windows up on that upper balcony were the windows of the dressing rooms and the makeup. And it was our kind of green room for the week we were here. So we kibitzed around and spent a lot of time up there. And John Carlin one day was feeling full of fun, and so he decided that he was going to show the mob of kids out here. They were all over the grass here, hundreds and hundreds of them. Well, hello there, how are you? You want to hear my story? Anyway, woof, oh, woof. There's, anyway, pardon the interruption, but he's an old friend of mine. So, all these people were here, and Carlin came out, climbed out through the window onto the balcony, and started to do a number, a kind of Mussolini number, roared to the crowd saying, "You want to see Barnabas?" And all the crowd said, "Yes, we want to see Barnabas. Then you will see a Barnabas," all from that tower up there. Well, he had a ball, and I could have killed him. But he finally got me out on the damn balcony. I think we must have had a little flask of something up there, because we were feeling no pain. And we came out, and of course the kids just loved this whole show. We gave them about a 15-minute show. I don't know whether I made a speech or not, but certainly Carlin did. We had a lot of fun with it. And the kids loved it. It was a real day for them. I'm not in that, am I? Number there for a few seconds, and then we'll get away from these bugs. Somehow